To you both, Jai. Oh, Srila Prabhupada. I just finished writing the title of this evening's thrilling adventure with Lord Krishna, the killing of the elephant Kvalayapida. I've actually prepared a special. I prepared a special slideshow on it. I put in a few hours to gather every single slide I could find. I scoured the internet for Chanura Mushtika, but first of all, Kvalayapida, and then it goes into the wrestling arena, killing Kamsa. So very dramatic portion of the 10th canto. So I'll start here with Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Lakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava Pahimam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. Oh Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. Oh Krishna, oh Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. Jai. The killing of the elephant Kvalayapida, chapter 42, as we continue to make progress through the Krishna book. Okay, would you like to begin, Krishna Chandra Prabhu? And we have someone special with us tonight, whose name is N. Endas or Endasi. Would you mind revealing yourself, please, N. Prabhu? Oh, is it Nahush?
Yes, it's Nahush. Yes.
Oh, very good, Prabhu. Thank you for coming this evening. That's wonderful.
Yes,
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So first we'll have Krishna Chandra Prabhu read, and then Nanda Patni. Are you able to see the screen, Nahush Prabhu?
Yeah, I can see it, yes.
So you'll be able to read once it comes to your turn, yes?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so this is actually quite a short chapter. It's only like 9 paragraphs. So why don't we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, why don't we read one each just in case other people come? Just read one each so that others will have a chance.
Understood.
Go for it, Krishna Chandra.
Jai. After taking their baths and finishing all other morning duties, Krishna and Balaram could hear the beating of the kettle drums in the wrestling camp. They immediately prepared themselves to proceed to the spot to see the fun. When Krishna and Balaram reached the gate of the wrestling camp, they saw a big elephant of the name Kvalayapida being tended by a caretaker. The caretaker was deliberately blocking their entrance by keeping the elephants in front of the gateway. Krishna could understand the purpose of the caretaker, and he prepared himself by tightening his dress before combating the elephant. He began to address the caretaker in a very grave voice, as resounding as a cloud. "You miscreant caretaker, give way and let me pass through the gate. If you block my way, I will send you and your elephants to the house of death personified.
Wow, what a threat. Then
the caretaker, being thus insulted by Krishna, became very angry. And in order to challenge Krishna, as was previously planned, he provoked the elephant to attack. The elephant then moved before Krishna like inevitable death. It rushed towards him and tried to catch him with its trunk. But Krishna very dexterously moved behind the elephant. Being able to see only the end of its nose, the elephant couldn't see Krishna hiding behind its legs, but it tried to capture him with its trunk. Krishna again very quickly escaped capture, and he again ran behind the elephant and caught its tail. Holding the elephant by its tail, Krishna began to pull it, and with great strength, very great strength, he dragged it for at least 25 yards, just as Garuda drags an insignificant snake. Krishna pulled the elephant from this side to that, from right to left, just as he used to pull the tail of a calf in his childhood. After this, Krishna went in front of the elephant and gave him a strong slap. He then slipped away from the elephant's view and ran to its back. Then, falling down on the ground, Krishna placed himself in front of the elephant's two legs and caused it to trip and fall. Krishna immediately got up, but the elephant, thinking that he was still lying down, tried to push an ivory tusk through the body of Krishna by forcibly stabbing it into the ground. Although the elephant was harassed and angry, the caretaker riding on its head tried to provoke it further. The elephant then rushed madly towards Krishna. As soon as it came within reach, Krishna caught hold of its trunk and pulled the elephant down. When the elephant and the caretaker fell, Krishna jumped up on the elephant's back and broke it and killed the caretaker also. After killing the elephant, Krishna took an ivory tusk on his shoulder, decorated with drops of perspiration sprinkled with the blood of the elephant. He felt very blissful, and thus he began to proceed towards the wrestling camp. Lord Balaram took the other tusk of the elephant on his shoulder. Accompanied by the cowherd boyfriends, they entered the arena.
Nahush Prabhu?
When Krishna entered the wrestling arena with Balaram and their friends, he appeared differently to different people according to their different relationships, rasas, with him.
Mm.
Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure and all kinds of rasas, both favorable and unfavorable. He appeared to the wrestlers exactly like a thunderbolt. To the people in general, he appeared as the most beautiful personality. To the females, he appeared to be the most attractive male, Cupid personified, and thus increased their lust. The cowherd men who were present there looked upon Krishna as their own kinsman, coming from the same village of Vrindavana. The Kshatriya kings who were present saw him as the strongest ruler. To the parents of Krishna, Nanda and Yashoda, he appeared to be the most loving child. To Kamsa, the king of the Bhoja dynasty, he appeared to be death personified. To the unintelligent, he appeared to be an incapable personality. To the yogis present, he appeared to be the supersoul. To the members of the Vrishni dynasty, he appeared to be the most celebrated descendant. Thus, appreciated differently by different kinds of men present, Krishna entered the wrestling arena with Balaram and his cowherd boyfriends. Having heard that Krishna had already killed the elephant, Kvalayapida, Kamsa, knew beyond doubt that Krishna was formidable. He thus became very much afraid of him. Krishna and Balaram had long hands. They were beautifully dressed, and they were attractive to the people assembled there. They were dressed as if they were going to act on a dramatic stage, and they drew the attention of all people.
Jivamukta Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We're just reading a paragraph each because it's a short chapter. Are you able to read?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought you just were
That's okay.
saying hello.
Yeah.
The citizens, could I just read something just to kind of, it's about Krishna's pastimes,
Okay.
and it's in glorification. I just want to read something just quickly.
Can you take off your black box and have your face? Is that possible?
Like I'm in my bedroom, so
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So very fortunate is one who uses logical arguments to make known the supreme glories of Krishna's pastimes. And to one who becomes full of prema simply by hearing a few words about those pastimes, I offer my humble obeisances. This is Narada Muni speaking.
Okay.
And the commentary is, it is wonderful when pure love of God is inspired by thoughtful analysis of the meaning of Krishna's pastimes. Much more wonderful, however, is the spontaneous response of pure devotees who are overcome by a flood of prema as soon as they hear the bare syllables of those pastimes. Such devotees need only to hear the name Putana or a few words from Srimad Bhagavatam for a sequence of ecstatic memories to arise in their hearts. Narada considers those devotees his worshipable superiors, for they have the priceless treasure of natural responsiveness to Krishna Katha. Anyway, I just thought it was really nice, and how important it is to meditate and to hear and read, about Krishna's pastimes.
Is that from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita?
Yes, yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
It is beautiful.
What section of, and that's Narada speaking to who?
It's Narada, it's part 2 of the glories of Goloka. It's Narada speaking to Gopakumar.
Kumar, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Beautiful.
We have Martin Lyons with us tonight.
Gaura, can you hear me?
Hare Krishna.
Gaura, can you hear me? Yes, Narasimha.
Oh, that's Narasimha Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hari
Welcome. Finally. Narasimha Prabhu in the Namaha. Narasimha Prabhu, could you please give us your darshan? Could you please? Could you
sitting in a
please?
bathroom?
What's that?
Here, I'll make sure it's the top half only. How do I do it? I don't even know how to do it, Bubba. This is technology.
All right. No, I mean, you're not obliged. It's a little more friendly and personal when you see people.
I'm trying to figure out how to show. I don't see how to do it.
Let's see. Does anyone know how that's done? Oh, yeah. You just go to the top right corner of your box, at least mine, and you can choose.
It says leave.
Does anyone know how that works?
Are you using a smartphone or your computer?
It's a foolish person using a smartphone.
Oh, let me see. I have to use my own smartphone and see. I haven't used a Zoom on my smartphone for a very long time. I need to figure this out.
I'm hitting the box in which I am. My name is, but it doesn't say anywhere now how I can put the picture on. I'm afraid to say.
Yeah.
I guess it's better to get these things worked out before rather than in the middle. I'm sorry. I'm not expert. If Shika Rani was here, she's a university graduate in digital management. But
yes, I'm just grateful I know how to turn it on and off. But that was a wonderful quote that was just read. And it was so nice to hear, Narada Muni is glorifying the devotees, of course, the Prema Bhaktas who are going into ecstasy as soon as even hearing the name Putana. We know that pastime with Pundarik Vidyanidhi Prabhu, who, when the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was recited, so that Gadadhar Pandit, wasn't it Mukunda, recited the verse so that Gadadhar Pandit, Gadadhar could see what an extraordinary devotee Pundarik was. The verse was about Putana, how Putana is gaining such extraordinary benefit. So what to
Got
think
the
of?
light on for the,
Huh?
yeah. I'm listening to one.
Well,
So
Excuse me, what is all that
Gaura
talking?
on
I'm
there
not
is
sure what's
listening
going
to
on
the
right now. I'm
Vijay.
confused.
That's Mahabhuti. That's Mahabhuti Prabhu.
Oh,
Where's
Mahabhuti here.
okay, so there's a button. It should say start video. It's in the UI in the lower portion. You should be
Oh,
able
that's
to
right. Yeah,
start video.
it's just beside the mute, the little microphone icon, right?
Mhm.
Bottom
Exactly.
left-hand corner.
your video
Indeed.
is, your microphone is on mute, your video is stopped. That's all it has.
There, hey.
By the way,
back.
is this Nrsinga Prabhu? Is he Prabhu? Were you in New Vrindavan?
That's right.
Yes, who's that speaking?
This is Jivan Mukta. I don't know if you remember me. I remember
Oh
you.
my goodness, Canadian Jivan Mukta.
Yes.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Wow.
Prabhu.
Oh,
I haven't seen you or heard from you since like 1982 probably, or
Wow.
81.
I know, I can't even remember that far back.
And
Oh, and
it looks like you still won't be able to see each other as long as you have your videos off.
I can't figure out how to do it, Baba. But anyway, so of course the Prema Bhaktas are so, glorious and exalted, but how encouraging that is to us who are attempting to become preachers, who are attempting, or of course some like our dear friend Mahabhuti Prabhu who's on there, who are already, beautifully established on the Madhyam platform. But for those of us that are aspiring for that, how wonderfully optimistic and encouraging to be told how glorious it is to use logic and argument just to try to establish the glories of Krishna's pastimes and explain the meanings and the, the relevance, etc. I mean, that's just a beautiful, so I really appreciate hearing that. Mahabhuti ji, Hari Krishna, Vanchakalpatrubhyascha. Can see you snapping. See, it's camera's on.
And Rasangi Devi Das is here finally at last.
Haribol. I'm
Hare Krishna,
in a
Rasangi.
torrential rainstorm up from work, but I'm on my way home.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to bring Sajan Maharaj on for a few minutes.
Oh, very nice. Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's try to get back to the reading. Now that everyone's reconnecting here. So I'll go back to sharing the page. Okay, now what did we just read?
Okay, so I'm going to start.
Who was the last to read? Was that you, Nanda Patni?
No, I'm
going to read a paragraph.
I'm reading.
No. I understand that. I'm trying, since we've kind of gone in 5 directions at one time, I'm just trying to bring it back. I'm trying to do a recap here. Do you remember what you just read, Nanda Patni? Was it you that was the last to
No,
read?
it wasn't.
I think it was me. I think it was me that read last, and I read that.
Oh, Nahush Prabhu. Yes. So you're describing how Krishna's being perceived, Yayatamang Prapadyante, according to the surrender or the rasas, that the different people who appeared there, seeing Krishna in Mathura, they were seeing him in various ways. And of course, Kamsa was seeing Krishna as death, very formidable. Jiva Mukta, you were going to read a paragraph, Prabhu?
Yeah.
One paragraph. Yeah.
So the citizens of Mathura city who saw Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became very pleased and began to look on his face with insatiable glances, as if they were drinking the nectar of heaven. Seeing Krishna gave them so much pleasure that it appeared that they were not only drinking the nectar of seeing his face, but were smelling the aroma and licking up the taste of his body and were embracing him and Balaram with their arms. They began to talk among themselves about the 2 transcendental brothers. For a long time, they had heard of the beauty and activities of Krishna and Balaram, but now they were personally seeing them face to face. they thought that Krishna and Balaram were two plenary incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, who had appeared in Vrindavan.
Jai. Mahabudhi Prabhu, would you like to read the next paragraph, and then Nrsinga Prabhu?
Yes.
Have someone else read, because I'm chomping on some grapes right now.
Oh, okay, Nrsinga Prabhu, go ahead.
All right. Well, where do you want me to start from? We're still at the citizens of Mathura.
Yes.
Okay, let's turn that around just a little bigger.
Do we discuss any of these things, Gaura? Like each one of these things, there's so many points that can be made.
Well,
I just want to
okay.
know.
I want to get all of your feedback, because what I've noticed is some devotees are so full of nectar that we can just read one paragraph and we don't do any more reading for the rest of the night. I've conversed with other moderators, and they say we usually try to do at least a half an hour of reading, and then we open everything up for discussion. So there's two ways we can do it. We can read one paragraph and then we can just stop and discuss for the rest of the night, or we can try to read a few paragraphs and at least make a little progress through the Leela. So I'm not saying I'm expert at this. I'm open to any of your suggestions. Please give me your thoughts.
Drowning in the ocean of nectar. It's like
Nandapatni, you've been doing this with us for a while. Do you have a suggestion?
Yeah, I mean, if something is quite laden with points to discuss, then I don't see any harm in taking a slight pause.
What do you mean by a slight pause? It could be a half an hour.
Well, I mean, you can always jump in like you have formally and said, let's try and get a bit more reading done. But
Right.
yeah, I kind of get Mahabudhi's point, and I also get the point that we want to read quite a bit. So I'm fairly easygoing.
Yeah, I am too. Yes, go ahead.
I think that because Nagapatni just said that in such a perfect English accent, it's completely authoritative. And also because she is English, when she uses a phrase like, I think we can take a slight pause, translation, a slight pause can mean an extremely long time, because the English we exaggerate by understatement. So I'm completely with her.
It depends if you're talking about the time of Lord Brahma or whose slight pause. Mahabudhi Prabhu, I want to hear from you. Do you have a thought on that? Or are you munching the grapes?
No, I
Yes,
shouldn't vote. I don't have a vote because generally when I see stuff, I see intricate points and I announce them, but whether that's valuable to someone else, I don't know.
No. I agree with you. What I started doing personally, and I'm not saying everyone has to do this, is I would normally take a notepad, and if something jumps out for me, I jot it down in shorthand. And that way we were at least able to do a few paragraphs, but I don't know.
I'm sorry, this reminds me so much of the board meetings in ISKCON. We just go, we're just chatting about this and about
anyway,
that. Let's
since Mahabudhi is my senior godbrother, I surrender to him. Whatever he says. So I got a feeling that he was
I'm a
inspired.
guest, so don't worry about it. My problem is when, for me, like you read something, immediately some Leela and some discussion comes up. So that doesn't mean I have to say something. It just means my mind is just wheeling into like different aspects of that philosophy, which may come from the different Goswami's books, whether it's, Gopal Champu, Govinda Lilamrita, or any of the different kinds of, Goswami literatures. There's so many different points.
No, I get it.
But anyway,
and I love that idea.
I'll be quiet.
We had a godbrother last week. Who was saying, I'm not sure I want to come to listen to a monologue. You weren't present, so it's got nothing to do with you. But he was saying, I'm looking more for a dialogue. And I'm thinking, how do you please everybody?
Okay, Gaura, if I could just say something. Okay.
Yes, please.
Like you're not going to please everybody. So the compromise is I tend to agree with Mahabodhi Prabhu to a certain extent that if something is there,
Yeah.
let it be said.
Sure.
And let's all be mindful to keep it short so that we can get through it as well. Okay, like
Short and sweet.
what is it? What is that statement? That
Eloquence.
Yeah.
Truth spoken concisely.
Truth spoken concisely. So let's try to be concise, get that nectar out there, but let's make sure that we don't get totally overwhelmed and not get through. But at the same time, the whole point of reading is to mine these jewels of nectar. That's the whole point.
Yes. Okay, so Mahabodhi Prabhu, you just heard some nectar and you got inspired. Could you please share that inspiration with us? I just pulled up the section that we read. What was it particularly about this? Mahabodhi Prabhu, can you take off your mute? Hare Krishna.
I forgot.
Hello.
Well, I forgot whatever it is you read anyway.
Oh no. Well, oh God. Can you see the screen?
Can I say something when you get
Yes,
a moment?
please. Go ahead.
I think one of the beauties of this form, which is different than others,
Yeah.
is that there is interaction, loving exchanges, that we speak from our hearts about what we're studying, that people have differences of opinion maybe. We enlighten each other, which is like the purpose. The devotees love to enlighten each other by speaking about these subjects. And, it's not a monologue and one person doesn't take over, but that if I have an aha, I often do, don't I? I say, can I say something? And I share that little bit, and then we go on. It's really juicy. It makes it really wonderful, I think. Okay, that's my two.
If I could just
I'm in agreement. Yes, go ahead.
Could you, Prabhu, go to where I finished reading the paragraph I was reading?
Was it this section here, the citizens?
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point that for the devotees, the ecstatic, the experience of Krishna, of experiencing Krishna's presence, is not just a question of seeing, but it's all the senses become completely overwhelmed by ecstasy. It's not just the eyes, it's like the sense of taste, it's the sense of touch, the sense of smell. So it's not just something that we kind of experience in the material world where it's just, but even in the material world, if something is really, really, makes an impression upon you, there's more than one sense that gets, is affected. So what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So here it was explained how the citizens of Mathura, that not only did they experience the pleasure of seeing Krishna and drinking the nectar by seeing his face, but like the aroma, the taste, the sense of touch, embracing him, all of these things were experienced, where each one of them was capable of bringing someone to like a, ecstatic, state.
Thank you.
In the Madhurya Kandamini, it mentions, Vishwanath Chakrabarti mentions that as one actually starts attaining bhava and moving to prem, that as the devotee sees Krishna, he is so beautiful that the devotee faints he can't be able to handle it. Krishna himself has to give him the eyes to see, and then his next senses, he will begin to smell the aroma, and again he passes out because it's just too beautiful and too aromatic for him to take it. So Krishna gives him the sense of smell, and then what happens next? He begins to touch. He begins to hear Krishna's voice. And again, the devotee passes out because the words are so much nectar, he's unable to handle it. So then Krishna again gives him the ability to hear. And finally, the same thing happens with the taste. So this is the platform of when one goes from bhava to prem. So just think, these devotees are experiencing this in Mathura, and just imagine what they're thinking here, how more even high it is for all of those devotees and all the different rasas in Gokula and Goloka, Vrindavan, Gokula, where their experiences is so much even more heightened than Mathura and Dwarka. It's unimaginable. Yet this is what's being experienced in Dwarka. And if you want to have it here much better than I explained it, read Madhura Kandamini as when it starts tainting bhava, and Krishna himself is guiding what Krishna has to do to the devotee so he can experience praying.
Thank you. I only read the beginning of Madhurya Kandimi. I didn't realize it went into so much nectar. I mean, it's all nectar, but I mean more Leela. I didn't realize that.
And I have a surprise guest in a few minutes. I
Okay.
got home.
So I'm just trying to focus here. All right. So is somebody going to read something now, or?
Yeah, if you put the text back
Can you
up.
bring up the,
Okay.
By the way, that was ecstatic. Whoever just said that was ecstatic.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. So
you need to
go
go
ahead.
down.
Sorry. There we are.
Go on.
That's the section.
Yeah. So you wanted me to read?
Well, I'd asked Mahabudhi, but Mahabudhi was busy at the time. You made a comment, Nrsinga. Did you read Nrsinga? I'm a little spaced out right now. I'm sorry.
I didn't.
Okay, please read.
Okay. The citizens of Mathura began to recite Krishna's pastimes, his birth as the son of Vasudeva, his being taken into the care of Nanda Maharaj and his wife in Gokula, and all those events leading to his coming to Mathura. They spoke of the killing of the demon Putana, as well as the killing of Trinavarta, who came as a whirlwind. Pardon?
Christmas carols coming from Michael Bublé. I don't know who's playing that.
Well, now already there's something definitely to discuss, because the citizens of Mathura have begun to recite Krishna's pastimes.
Mm-hmm.
So the citizens of Mathura are saying his birth as the son of Vasudeva. But in Vrindavan, they know that Krishna was born to Mother Yashoda. The umbilical cord was there and it was cut. Everybody in Vrindavan knows that Krishna was born. He took birth from Mother Yashoda. So in Mathura, Krishna did not take birth. He appeared.
Mm-hmm.
As we are coming in the line of Rupa Goswami, so we are ultimately, although in Mahaprabhu's family, there are so many devotees with so many different moods, the mood that we are learning.
Brijabasi.
Huh?
Brijabasi.
Exactly, Brijabasi. We are not Mathurabasi. So it's very important to make this distinction. And Krishna appeared to Devaki and Vasudeva, but he didn't take birth. He didn't come from her womb like that. It's a very important distinction. And, you know, one can say, well, why didn't Srila Prabhupada make it so obvious? And of course he does when you're reading 10th canto, it's very obvious. But Srila Prabhupada also, just like, for instance, Shukadev Goswami, he's speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. So he's giving so much emphasis to the glories of Krishna in his relationship to the Yadus, to the because Parikshit Maharaj is the grandson of the Pandavas and so on. So also Jiva Goswami at one point, he's preaching also to the people at the time. They needed to appreciate more Swakiya Ras rather than Parakiya Ras. So Srila Prabhupada, I was thinking, is slightly off track, but I was thinking in the original Bhagavatam that he brought out, the original one, in the first canto, is it 1116 or 1611, where he's describing Parikshit Maharaj. He dresses in his full armor, he gets in his chariot, and he goes at the head of his armies to now again conquer the different kings, or to accept their pledge of loyalty, all the same ones that his grandfathers had, his Yudhishthira Maharaj had previously conquered. And then Prabhupada gives the description of the different varshas. But very interestingly, in the original Bhagavatam, Prabhupada is giving he's giving a verdict that's very much like how the English had explained things, where the different varshas, the different continents of our earth. Bharatvarsha is India, and Kimpurusha Varsha is Tibet, and so on and so forth. But later on, everything was changed to match the revelations of the fifth canto. So Srila Prabhupada's first concern is not to get people all off track, which I may have just done here, but to get people all off track with concerns about things that were just too outside their point of reference, because his main proposal is bhakti. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and our purpose is to develop bhakti. So in the same way, in India, in the majority of India, not enlivened or enlightened by Gaudiya theology, they are very much aware of Krishna as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. And in fact, before Mahaprabhu came, the Mahamantra, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, was the other way around, and it referred to Dwarka, Dish Krishna, or to Narayan Krishna. So there are these different elements. But anyway, I just wanted to reflect on that fact that we are, where we're coming from, is learning to appreciate and glorify above everything else the mood of the Brajavasis.
Thank you. Shall we go back to reading?
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to continue the paragraph?
Okay. His being taken care of into the care of Nanda Maharaj and his wife in Gokul. And all those events leading to his coming to Mathura. They spoke of the killing of the demon Putana, as well as the killing of Trinavarta, who came as a whirlwind. They also recorded the deliverance of the twin brothers from within the Yamala Arjuna tree. The citizens of Mathura spoke among themselves. Shankasura, Keshi, Dhanukasura, and many other demons were killed by Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. Krishna also saved all the cowherd men of Vrindavan from devastating fire. He chastised the Kaliya snake in the water of Jamuna, and he curbed the false pride of the heavenly king Indra. Well, we all know every phrase so far could handle many hours, depending on the advancement of devotee, many days of discussion. But it's kind of funny to go through this paragraph so quickly. He chastised the Kaliya snake in the water of Jamuna, and he curbed the false pride of the heavenly king, Indra. Krishna held up the great Govardhan hill in one hand for 7 continuous days and saved all the people of Gokul from incessant rain, hurricane, and windstorm. They also began to remember other enlivening activities. The damsels of Vrindavan were so pleased by seeing Krishna's beauty and participating in his activities that they forgot the purpose of material existence. By seeing and thinking of Krishna, they forgot all sorts of material fatigue. The Mathura citizens discussed the dynasty of Jadu, saying that because of Krishna's appearance in this dynasty, the Jadus would remain the most celebrated family in the whole universe. While they were thus talking about the activities of Krishna and Balaram, they heard the vibrations of different bands announcing the wrestling match.
Mahaburi Prabhu, is there any further comments on that paragraph before we move on?
Mahaburi.
There's actually hundreds, but again, this is where the appreciation, if you understand, these are Mathuravasis. So somehow or other, all of these pastimes which happened in Govardhan and in Gokul have all somehow made it to Mathura. And so now the Mathuravasis are telling all these wonderful things. So one thing will come up, the appreciation even from Mathuravasis is more on the level of Narayan. So they see Krishna like that of Narayan there. And so, but still Krishna being personally there with Balaram, and their beauty so astonishing that they're becoming overwhelmed, but they don't have a reference point like the Vrindavan Vasis, the Brajavasis, because why? They're intimately connected with Krishna and Balaram. And Mathura, the Yadavs, they are connected, but they're feeling somewhat hesitant when you read further on about Devaki, especially, and Vasudev. You'll see, even though they're a little bit not wanting to have Krishna and Balaram remember Yasoda and Nanda, because of that relationship that is so strong. So here, as we're hearing these things, we're hearing the wondrousness, but each one of these pastimes stand for so many different, types of realizations. And so imagine talking to this in this way when ordinary people are saying how wonderful this baseball player, football player is, this guy threw so many touchdowns. Here, the glory is actually the glorious, all these wonderful killing of these demons who they knew Kamsa had sent. And so I was just amazed hearing it this time in this contents, that all of this information that happened in Vrindavan got back to Mathura like front page news. And so they all had wonderful experiences in seeing Krishna and Balaram personally as they came into the arena and the wrestling match, as the killing of Kvalayapida, and all the different other activities happening in Mathura are taking place. That now the scene is set where all the Mathuravasis, their hearts also becoming swayed by the association of Krishna and Balaram and all the cowherd boys that have attended. That's all. I only have a few minutes left before my class, so I'll go ahead and just listen rather than read it.
Okay, I see that Sajjan Maharaj has arrived, and Raghavendu Prabhu, who sometimes blesses us with a little association. Jai Sajjan Maharaj, my obeisances to you.
Haribol Sajjan Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for coming, and I thank you, Rasangi, for bringing Maharaj. Maharaj, would you like to read a paragraph, please?
This is a very unexpected pleasure to see and get all of your association virtually like this. However, I had something planned and didn't realize I was going to be here. So I'll stand by and listen when I can, and then I have to take care of something important that I didn't plan on. So my pranams all these Samad Vaishnavas.
Haribol Maharaj ki jai.
I'm taking the dust of your computer on my head.
Sajjan Maharaj, I saw you briefly in Badger in, I don't know if it was 2000, 2008. Your name previously was, as my godbrother, you were Krishna Bhajan Prabhu, is that correct?
My name changed in 2003, and yes, I'm Krishna Bhajan eternally, hopefully, the servant of Krishna Bhajan.
So if you don't mind just sharing a little bit, Maharaj, I'd just like to digress for a moment. You joined where, please, and what year was that?
Oh, I appreciate so much your endeavor and for your keeping God brothers and God sisters connected, Gaura.
Well, thank you for your encouragement.
Somehow I sent the information, but I guess it's gotten lost. But I met Srila Prabhupada in Hawaii in 1974, and I was introduced by by Siddha Swarup at that
Oh.
time.
Uh-huh.
And then after I met Srila Prabhupada in Hawaii, I realized it changed my life completely. Srila Prabhupada captured my heart. And so then, but I didn't take initiation until 1975 in San Diego.
Uh-huh.
And I took Diksha, second initiation in San Diego in 77. I saw
Uh-huh.
Srila Prabhupada again in 76 in LA. And finally in 77 at Gaur Purnima in Mayapur.
Fantastic. Has Siddhanta Prabhu recorded you for Prabhupada Memories yet?
I believe in Vrindavan, I recorded something that was supposed to be given to Siddhanta.
I see.
So
I'll remind him.
I don't know. So
I'll get back to him because I recruit for him.
okay. Bye.
Jai. So would you mind reading a paragraph of Krishna book for us?
I guess you didn't hear. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's only a paragraph. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Where are we? The famous wrestler
Famous
Chanura?
wrestler Chanura. That's your paragraph. The famous wrestler Chanura.
Okay, so Kamsa's plans are beginning to take place. It's amazing, when we go to the Gormandal Parikram in Navadvip, when we stop at Chankanzi's Samadhi, then we understand that Chankazi, he's an incarnation of Kamsa. And
Really?
that area is considered Mathura. So
Okay.
Anyway, Kamsa played a part of Krishna's pastimes by the arrangement of Yoga Maya to increase the leelas, etc. So he had a plan, obviously, to request Krishna and Balaram to come to Mathura for a wrestling match. And Krishna was very fond of wrestling, so he immediately agreed. Although the Brajbasis, they practically lost their lives, obviously. Thinking, how could Krishna leave? But also, Vrindavan and Nagachati, in reality, Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So in his Naravat Leela on this planet 5,000 something years ago, and he appeared to leave Vrindavan and go to Mathura. But we know his purpose was Yada Yada Idramashadvani and Pritranaya Sarunam Vinashaya Chadushkitam, to annihilate the world of the miscreants. So there were certain persons he had to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Kamsa was on his list, and also the elephant Kvalayapida,
Right.
and Charnur and Mustika. And when we understand what pure bhakti is, by the definition by Srila Rupa Goswami, Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmani Navidam Anupuyena Krishna Nusina Bhaktirutama. So sometimes this verse is translated one who gives pleasure to Krishna and doesn't take any part of mundane jnana or karma, yoga, etc. And sometimes it can be asked, well, Chanura and Mustika at the wrestling match, they gave Krishna Balaram so much pleasure. So does that mean they were performing pure bhakti? And we've heard this explanation. We know that that's not pure bhakti, because their intention and inner move was to kill Krishna, not to give pleasure to him, but to kill him. So although that gave him in Vira Ras so much pleasure, and Balaram as well, and also in comparison to Mother Yashoda, and for instance, in Damodar Leela, she was trying to reform Krishna from being a naughty boy. So she bound him with a rope for tying cows, etc. So that made Krishna cry. So that means Mother Yashoda is not performing pure bhakti. So we've all of you are senior devotees who've heard this example, but it just reminds me to explain this as we're reading this pastime of Krishna Balaram in Mathura after killing Kvalayapida. And getting the garlands offered by the fruit or the by the vendor of malas, etc., and nice clothing. So, where's the verse? It's disappeared from the screen. I wanted to say something.
I'm just pulling it up again for you here. All right.
Where's
Share screen.
Mahabodhi Prabhu? He disappeared. He had to go.
He should still be here.
Gives the
Mahabodhi.
class. He gives a class at
Oh,
5:30. Yeah.
Oh,
no, he's still here.
Oh,
Mahabodhi is
no.
here.
Background. Yeah.
okay.
He's-
So we had a program yesterday celebrating on the weekend the Gita Jayanti, which is actually tomorrow, but it was very nice. And I see Nanda is here as well.
Yes,
Well, pranams to her. We had a very nice program.
yes,
So the famous wrestler Chanura then began to talk with Krishna and Balaram. My dear Krishna and Balaram, he said, we have heard about your past activities. You are great heroes, and therefore the king has called you. We have heard that your arms are very strong. The king and all the people present here desire to see a display of your wrestling abilities. A citizen should be obedient and please the mind of the ruling king. Acting in this way, the citizen attains all kinds of good fortune. One who does not care to act obediently is made unhappy because of the king's anger. You are cowherd boys, and we have heard that while tending your cows in the forest, you enjoy wrestling with each other. We wish, therefore, for you to join with us in wrestling so that all the people present here, along with the king, will be pleased.
It sounds duplicitous, doesn't it?
Well, of course, it's what do they call it? Political, I forget the word. Diplomacy, correct.
Diplomacy.
So when Krishna was fond of wrestling, he would wrestle with Sridham, Sudam, Vasudam, and part of his human-like pastimes, he isn't always the victor, and quite a few times, because he's controlled with love, they defeat Krishna. But sometimes he doesn't admit defeat, although he's on his back with Sridham on his chest, and Sridham's declaring, "I'm the winner." Krishna says, "No, because your nose is down and my nose is up. Therefore, I'm the winner." So, in this way, Krishna derives so much pleasure in wrestling with the cowherd boys because there's like such an exchange of love, and this Vira Ras that he enjoys fighting is the reason for the advent of demons like Ravana and his brother
Vibhishan? No.
Ravan and Kumbhakarna, and also Nrsinga and
Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha.
Hiranyaksha. So, etc. And then Shishupal and Dandavakra, and then they voluntarily come as in Kali Yuga, in Navadvip Pastimes of Mahaprabhu, as Jagai and Madai.
Mm-hmm.
So Krishna enjoys this fighting spirit, but in his Leela with the cowherd boys, etc., in Vrindavan, there is a play, but he wants some serious fighting, so he needs a demon to take that part. So his servants in Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay, are somehow or other arranged in a Leela for to be cursed, so they can take part in this heroic pastime of Krishna by eliminating them in various ways.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Shuddha Sindhu, we haven't heard you read. I think you and Rasangi are the only two that haven't read this evening. And would you like to read?
Yeah.
Krishna meeting, just one paragraph.
Krishna immediately understood the purpose of Chanura's statements, and he prepared to wrestle with him. But according to the time and circumstances, he spoke as follows. You are the subject of the king of Boja, and you live in the jungle. We are also indirectly his subjects, and we try to please him as far as possible. This offer of wrestling is a great favor of his, but the fact is that we are simply boys. We sometimes play in the forest of Vrindavan with our friends who are our own age. We think that to combat persons of equal age and strength is good for us, but to fight great wrestler like you would not be good for the audience. It would contradict their religious principles. Krishna thus indicated that the celebrated strong wrestler should not challenge Krishna and Balaram to fight.
Shudasindu, do you have a question about this or a comment on what you just read?
No.
Does anyone have any comment on this or question, please? I'm liking the psychology behind of all of this. How Krishna is saying that, it's not really proper for you to be fighting with us. We're not the same age. You're such great wrestlers. Krishna's kind of giving Chanura a way out, right? He's sort of more giving him a chance to walk away before or he's going to kill him. To fight with great wrestlers like you would not be good for the audience either. How would it contradict their religious principles? There's a question from me.
What would contradict religious principles?
Well, Krishna's saying, we think to combat persons of equal age and strength is good for us, but to fight great wrestlers like you would not be good for the audience. It would contradict their religious principles. Why? Because they're engaging in something immoral? Is that the idea that Krishna?
Completely unfair. Yes, it's completely unfair. So,
yeah,
They're children. They're children.
It would be child abuse.
Yeah. Right? Child abuse.
But of course, Krishna is also saying that tongue in cheek, because if they knew who Krishna actually was, then they wouldn't even for a moment contemplate fighting.
Exactly.
But they're thinking, because they're so they're anything but devotional, they can't see Krishna's true nature, so they don't understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Right.
That from the pores of his body, unlimited universes emanate. So they're not even on that level. I mean, his cowherd boyfriends also don't see him as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they're engaging in play. They're not fighting, and whatever they play fight, but it's joyful.
Right.
So this is Krishna kind of making fun of them, just showing the extent of their illusion.
Right. And I'm taking it also that Krishna's kind of giving them a warning, giving them a way out. I was speaking to one god sister today, and she told me that she was trained in martial arts. She lives in Detroit, in a pretty rough area where people, use guns. And when men have, threatened her, she'll say to them, do you know who I am? Do you know who you're speaking to right now? And and I was pretty impressed. She's able to actually get rid of, overly aggressive men just by saying, do you realize who you're speaking to? Do you know who do you know who I am? So
Wow.
I'm sort of making that, I don't want to compare something mundane, but I just like the way that Krishna is giving Chanura a little break here. That's how I'm seeing it anyway, with my understanding.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Krishna Chandra.
I could be way off base here, but the first thing that comes to mind when Krishna brings up the religious principles is when Krishna said something very similar to the gopis when he said, it's late at night, you should go back to your husbands, and
right.
This right.
Be moral,
so,
be moral. Yeah.
So in a sense, maybe he gave them both an out for possibly different reasons. And maybe a test for the gopis' devotion, for instance, but also it could be just to give this wrestler a chance. And then, of course, he has this desire to fight Krishna, which also gives Krishna pleasure.
Sure. Nice. Thank you. Nrsinga Prabhu, do you have something else to say on this?
Well, I was actually just thinking how it is that these pastimes, like with Kaliya, also Krishna's arranged, he's going to take on an opponent who, on first glance, is so much more powerful. I mean, these are not just like wrestlers. These are the most powerful wrestlers in the entire kingdom. They're huge demons. They're like mountains. They're enormous. They're enormous. And I'm a 10-year-old boy. It's absolutely horrifying to the devotees to see what's about to happen. The same way as when Krishna went into Kaliya, the devotees were absolutely terrified. They stopped breathing.
Beside themselves. Yeah. They were beside themselves.
So Krishna is doing that for a reason. He's creating certain moods in his devotees, because that's much more important to him than what anybody else thinks. So he's using these circumstances, he's using these demons in order to excite the moods of his devotees, to strengthen and deepen their and really bring their love out in all different ways. I mean, the protective mood that's there, because all the devotees have protective mood towards Krishna. The protective mood of the cowherd boys. We see that when Krishna's holding up Govardhan, all the cowherd boys, they're ready to assist Krishna to hold up Govardhan. But the most protective mood of all is coming from the gopis. And the most protective mood of the gopis is coming from Radharani, who's looking at Govardhan. If you slip, I will destroy you with my glance. You will not slip. And so the gopis are thinking they're holding Govardhan up by their intensity and their vows and everything else. So the mood of protection and love is being brought out in these challenging circumstances. So Chanur and Mushtaka are excuses. It's all everything's an excuse for Krishna to show off, to his friends, and especially the gopis, especially the ladies there in Mathura. This is an excuse for him to show off.
Well, Krishna is increasing the love of all of his devotees by these very dramatic pastimes. I think this is one of the most dramatic pastimes in the whole 10th canto, a violent fight in a wrestling arena.
Well, I think the Kaliya story is pretty.
For sure.
When you hear about it, it's a mind-boggling story. But yes.
You have to just look at the response of the devotees. The response of the devotees during this wrestling match wasn't that they were losing consciousness and fainting, but with Kaliya, they were completely dead. They lost consciousness. They were beside themselves. They were so disturbed they lost consciousness.
It was intolerable.
Well, the Kaliya serpent is so, horrific looking, this giant serpent.
Rasangi, you've not read. Will you read?
I will.
Oh, good. All right, where did we leave off?
Oh, it's so hard to see.
Okay, in reply, oh, you get to read the last paragraph, and then I have a slideshow.
Ooh. In reply to this, Chanura said, "My dear Krishna, we can understand that you are neither a child nor a young man. You are transcendental to everyone, as is your big brother Balaram. You have already killed the elephant Kvalayapida, who was capable of fighting and defeating other elephants. You have killed him in a wonderful way because of your strength." Yeah, I'm going to turn it to the side, sorry. "Because of your strength, it behooves you to compete with the stronger wrestlers amongst us. I therefore wish to wrestle with you, and your elder brother Balaram will wrestle with Mushtika." Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 42nd chapter of Krishna, the killing of the elephant Kvalayapida.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I find it really interesting that Chanura is actually knows. He says, you are transcendental to everyone, as is your big brother Balaram. So it seems that he has some insight that Krishna is this amazing, incredible personality. But he's not discouraged. He still wants to fight him. That seems contradictory. You would think that, okay, if you really know how transcendental Krishna is, why would you even consider entering into a fight with him?
Well, why would could you imagine how ecstatic it would be to like be wrestling Krishna, to hold, to touch his body, to be so close? And it's like in many respects, it's very intimate. They're fighting, and their bodies are they're
chest to chest, arm to arm, leg to leg, right?
Yeah, it's ecstatic, and if they understood, as we can see from that comment, they understood who Krishna and Balaram were. It's like, what a wonderful opportunity for any
to be killed by him. That's not a bad deal.
Not a bad deal at all.
Not a bad deal. The
I mean,
worst that could happen is that you're killed by Krishna.
And that's the best also.
That's the best.
That's the best thing that could happen. So I've never done this before. I've never tried to show a slideshow, but here it is. I've been working on this for the last couple of days, and I've never tried to show a slideshow before online.
Wow.
Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Can everyone see that? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Now how do I get rid of this message here? You are screen sharing. I don't want that to be on top of the slide. Can anyone help me, please?
Go to the full screen button, maybe. Full screen.
Where is that?
Is it
Up
in
on the
view?
top, like a little square box that says full screen.
Where do I find that?
I can't see your desktop, sorry.
But you can see the artwork.
Yeah.
Oh, I made it bigger myself.
Yeah, we can see the artwork, Gaura.
Sure.
Okay, good. So Krishna encounters the elephant Kvalayapida. This is an opaque watercolor on paper done in Surat, Gujarat. After presenting King Kamsa with the milk products, the coward men from Vrindavan took their respective seats. So we see them in the top half of the slide, taking their respective seats by the side of the king in the arena. So that's King Kamsa sitting in his blue garment there, while the wrestlers entered to display their skills. But then there's Kvalayapida there with the elephant trainer, Krishna and Balaram to the right. Okay. Krishna addressed the caretaker. You miscreant caretaker, give way and let me pass through the gate. If you block my way, I shall send you and your elephant to the house of death personified. So if anyone wants to interrupt me at any point and make a comment, please feel free to do that, okay?
He looks he looks a bit too friendly, that elephant.
But if you look at his eyes, he looks angry. This is Pushkar's artwork. Pushkar Prabhu. Yeah. So here's just a synopsis. Krishna and Balaram's, they bathe and they do their morning duties. They hear the kettle drums and they rush to see the fun. Kvalayapida blocked their entrance. And this elephant was so powerful, he could fight with 1,000 elephants. And Krishna became angry with the caretaker for blocking his way. Argument and attack as previously planned. I'm not sure what that last statement means. Argument and attack as previously. I guess, that Kamsa had planned like this, to have Kvalayapida greet him and I guess try to defeat him. So this is from the 1930s. This is a piece of art from the 30s from, what's it called? A Gita Press, I think it's called, or Kalya, what's the name of that other company? Kalyan.
I don't know, Gita Press in Gorakhpur.
Right. The elephant rushed madly toward Krishna and tried to gore him with tusks. I really like the Art Deco style. It's my favorite. So if others would like to take turns reading, just feel free. This is the original Krishna book art of Kvalayapida.
Great.
Jivan Mukta, you want to read a bit? Shraddha Sindhu, would you like to read?
Okay. The elephant moved before Krishna like inevitable death. Seizing his trunk with one hand, Krishna threw him to the ground.
This is a piece of art called Krishna Kills Elephant Kvalayapida by S.S. Shaikh in the 1960s. I was not familiar with this piece. Krishna jumped on the elephant's back, broke it, and took an ivory tusk on his shoulder and killed the caretaker. Any comments from anyone so far as we go through these?
No, it's quite violent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stabbing with an ivory tusk.
But that's the pastime.
Howie.
Tickling the ivories.
What? Say again, Nishinga?
Tickling the ivories.
Tickling the ivories. That's a good one. Okay, where are we now? Sorry. I tried to move this and I don't know if it is affecting my ability to share the slides here. Okay, down below. Krishna caught hold of the trunk and pulled the elephant down. I don't know the difference between Kangra art or the other art forms, but these are a few centuries old and I couldn't find information on all of these. Whenever I could find information, I give it. So
I like the way the caretaker's being squished under the elephant.
Yes. You like that. You were a little concerned about the violence, Nandapatni, but you
Well,
liked
I didn't know it was that kind of, stabbing between the eyes that kind of got me a bit. But the squishing, it's just a humorous kind of composition there. Yeah.
Krishna slays Kvalayapida from the second gular. I'm not sure what gular means, or Teri Garawal, Gita Govinda, by a gular artist. I don't know what a gular artist is. This is
probably a school of art.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is 1765 to
Very
1770.
nice. Yeah.
Yes. The Coward Boys.
Yeah, they're kind of, not egging him on, but the rah, rah.
Right.
Yeah.
Another squished caretaker.
Yeah. Whoa, there he is. Yeah, the caretaker really gets it, doesn't he?
Krishna took an ivory tusk on his shoulder after killing the elephant.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great composition. I like that.
Oh. Now it looks like there's two caretakers underneath.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
Bunch
Yeah.
of them are getting squished.
Yeah.
Well, this is quite a large composition. Krishna killing the elephant Kvalayapida from the Bhagavat Purana, Book 10, Yale University
and the
Art Gallery.
Restless.
Huh?
And the Restless.
Yeah.
And the Restless, yes. This is 1720 by an anonymous artist. So the whole Leela here of the chapters and the next chapter is also there. We see in the bottom left-hand corner, there's the kettle drum being played.
Yeah.
There's the gopis. In the middle, top middle.
Yeah.
Okay, this, when I tried to enlarge this one, it kind of lost some of its color. Nishinga, could you read that, please?
The Lord confronted the elephant as he attacked, and seizing his trunk, Krishna threw him to the ground, climbed onto him, and with the ease of a mighty lion, pulled out a tusk, and with it killed the beast and its keepers.
Recap. I couldn't make this one larger. Kvalayapida killed, and Chinura challenges Krishna. And then
on that note, I have to go. And I thank you very much for inviting me. And wonderful way to spend some time.
will you please return on Wednesday, please? Could you please try to?
I don't know. I can't think.
Don't make any promises, but Lord willing.
No promises. Lord willing. Oh, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Is, yes, I'm driving. Wednesday evening, actually, I'm going to be with my youngest daughter.
Okay. Well, why don't you bring her too, so she can read it.
Yes. All right, my dear.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank you
Michelle.
very much.
Nice to meet you, Prabhu.
Dhanyavad pranams to you all. Hare
I'm glad I
Krishna.
could reunite you with Jivan Mukta Prabhu.
Yes, it's very nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
See you soon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Jai Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Okay, so since we just have a couple of minutes left, instead of starting on another Krishna book story, maybe we can make a little progress and read a paragraph each from Nectar of Instruction, because we're on the second verse of Srila Prabhupada's commentary. And where are we in terms of who's reading? And I kind of lost track of everybody.
Probably you. Reading.
Oh, probably. Okay. Karmi's labored to accumulate more and more wealth. I'm not sure if we read this last time or not. Oh, yeah, we did read that. Okay. Accepting some of the scriptural rules and regulations for immediate benefit as utilitarians advocate, called niyama agraha, and neglecting the rules and regulations of the Shastras, which are meant for spiritual development, is called niyama agraha. The word agraha means eagerness to accept, and agraha means failure to accept. By the addition of either of these two words to the word niyama, rules and regulations, the word niyam agraha is formed. Thus, niyam agraha has a twofold meaning that is understood according to the particular combination of words. Those interested in Krishna consciousness should not be eager to accept rules and regulations for economic advancement. Yet they should very faithfully accept scriptural rules and regulations for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. They should strictly follow the regulative principles by avoiding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication.
Can I ask a question there?
Yeah, I have a question too. Go ahead.
I've never quite understood this concept of being interested in Krishna consciousness for economic advancement. I mean, because, yeah, I don't get that.
Could it be like professional kirtaniers or having a profession related to serving devotees?
That's a good point, because Prabhupada condemns the Bhagavat Saptaha readers, those who are
Yeah.
professional, right?
Yeah, maybe that's the reference. I mean, because I would automatically kind of think of Western devotees and all of us joining the movement and having absolutely nothing, and et cetera, et cetera. So I never quite, but I guess you're right, because in other parts of the Bhagavatam, he does talk about reciting the Bhagavatam for money, which would have been something more in India.
Or worshiping the deity to collect money.
Yes.
Oh, what you mean, the priests would
Yes, the Brahmins of the temples.
keep money.
What, they get some kind of money? I'm sorry. I'm very naive.
By showing the deity.
Oh, wow. Oh, yes, I understand now. Wow.
Like, for example, I wanted to see the Shakshi Gopal deity near Jagannath Puri, and I was told, no, you cannot come, you're a Westerner. But then when I heard from the Australian devotees that they gave so many thousands of rupees, they were given darshan.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh. Okay,
What do you thought?
we got the illustration there. Good example.
Okay, very good. Thank you for asking that question. I'm just wondering myself, there was that one sentence there. Those interested in Krishna consciousness should not be eager to accept rules and regulations for economic advancement.
Yeah, that's what we were just discussing.
Okay, yeah, I've been answering my own question. I answered my own question.
Yeah, in other words,
That
your
they should very-
motive has to be really pure,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Krishna Chandra, one paragraph each.
I don't know if he's there. Is he there?
Okay, then you, Nandapatni, if he's not there.
One should also avoid association with Mayavadis who simply blaspheme Vaishnava devotees, Bhukti karmis who are interested in material happiness, Mukti karmis who desire liberation by merging in the existence of the formless absolute Brahman, and Siddhi karmis who desire the perfection of mystic yoga practice, are classified as atyaharis. To associate with such persons is not at all desirable.
Who do we still have with us?
I came back if
Yeah,
it's okay.
Krishna Chandra's there.
Oh, okay, yes, Krishna Chandra, then Shuddha Sindhu, then Rasangi.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. Desires to expand the mind by perfecting mystic yoga, merging in the existence of Brahman, or attaining whimsical material prosperity are all included within the category of greed, lalya. All attempts to acquire such material benefits or so-called spiritual advancement are impediments on the path of Krishna consciousness.
Shuddha Sindhu?
Modern warfare waged between capitalists and communists is due to their avoiding the advice of Sri Rupa Goswami regarding Atyahara. Modern capitalists accumulate more wealth than necessary, and the communists, envious of their prosperity, want to nationalize all wealth and property. Unfortunately, the communists do not know how to solve the problem of wealth and its distribution. Consequently, when the wealth of the capitalists falls into the hands of the communists, no solution results. Opposed to these two philosophies, the Krishna conscious ideology states that all wealth belongs to Krishna. Thus, unless all wealth comes under the administration of Krishna, there can be no solution to the economic problem of mankind. Nothing can be solved by placing wealth in the hands of the communists or the capitalists. If a $100 bill is lying on the street, someone may pick it up and put it in his pocket. Such a man is not honest. Another man may see the money and decide to let it remain there, thinking that he should not touch another's property. Although this second man does not steal the money for his own purposes, he is unaware of its proper use. The third man who sees the $100 bill may pick it up, find the man who lost it, and deliver it to him. This man does not steal the money to spend for himself, nor does he neglect it and let it lie in the street. By taking it and delivering it to the man who has lost it, this man is both honest and wise.
It reminds me of a saying by Mahatma Gandhi, there's enough for man's need, but there's never enough for man's greed.
Yeah, because I heard a saying this week that in this material body, you have more desires than could ever be fulfilled.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It actually does, yes.
The futility of pursuing it.
It's evident that there are a lot of people who are wealthy and are just not happy or accomplished. They always want more.
Yeah.
My god sister Kvalayapida was reminding me, she was saying, she was listening to a Prabhupada recording, and he was commenting that how there's no happiness in this material world. So it makes no sense to try to pursue material happiness. Simply transferring wealth from capitalists to communists cannot solve the problem of modern politics, for it has been demonstrated that when a communist gets money, he uses it for his own sense gratification. The wealth of the world actually belongs to Krishna, and every living entity, man and animal, has the birthright to use God's property for his maintenance. When one takes more than his maintenance requires, be he a capitalist or a communist, he is a thief. And as such, he is liable to be punished by the laws of nature. Krishna Chandra.
Yes. The wealth of the world should be used for the welfare of all living entities. For that is the plan of Mother Nature. Everyone has the right to live by utilizing the wealth of the Lord. When people learn the art of scientifically utilizing the Lord's property, they will no longer encroach upon another's rights. Then an ideal society can be formed. The basic principle for such a spiritual society is stated in the first mantra of Sri Isopanishad. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhujita ma kridhaha kasya svidhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong.
And the Patni?
Krishna conscious devotees know very well that this material world is designed by the complete arrangement of the Lord to fulfill all necessities of life for all living beings, without their having to encroach upon the life of another, the life or rights of another, like animals. This complete arrangement affords the proper quota of wealth for everyone according to his real needs. And thus everyone may live peacefully according to the principle of plain living and high thinking. Unfortunately, materialists who have neither faith in the plan of God nor any aspiration for higher spiritual development misuse their God-given intelligence only to augment their material possessions. They devise many systems such as capitalism and materialistic communism to advance their material position. They're not interested in the laws of God or in a higher goal, always anxious to fulfill the unlimited desires for sense gratification. They are conspicuous by their ability to exploit their fellow living beings. Yikes.
Yeah, it's going on all the time.
Prabhupada was very, he was very strong about this point of communism. I think I mentioned this once before, that, when I was doing this Sankirtan in India, it was made plain to us on the Sankirtan party that not only did Prabhupada not want the citizens of Bharat Varsh to be turning towards this gross materialism, but he also was deeply concerned about communism taking over in India.
Mm-hmm.
And that, when I was young, that was actually news to me. I wasn't, kind of aware of that. I knew the communists were on the Nepal border and things like that, but I wasn't aware before I was getting that message relayed from Prabhupada that was, a big threat, and what that actually meant. Because one of the main parts of it is the atheism involved. That was the thing that he was fighting. Yeah.
He said that communism was the rule of the Sudras, whereas the Vaishyas were about capitalism. And he warned about communism, that if the communists take over, as you said, he equated it with atheism.
Yeah. Well, it is atheism, because you're not allowed to, like, for example, in Tibet, when the Chinese took over and the Dalai Lama had to leave and everything, they murdered thousands and thousands of monks.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Even if you had a picture of His Holiness, you could be killed.
His Holiness Mao Zedong, you mean?
Dalai Lama.
Oh, by having his photo.
Dalai Lama, if you had anything to do with God.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why he exiled, through the mountains, rather than being killed. And all the Buddhists there were killed, all the monks in the monasteries. It was a complete bloodbath. Yeah, that's communism.
Do you have something to say about that, Shuddha Sindhu?
You mean communism?
Yeah.
Well, what she was just discussing about, yeah.
Yeah, communism in China, I think it still exists until now.
Yes.
Still until today. And Mao Zedong, actually, they were branded as a very good president, Mao Zedong, but actually he killed his own Chinamen, millions of them.
Yeah.
And the hidden history is not told, actually. He's not a real good man. Mao Zedong.
He starved all his citizens, as did Stalin.
Right.
They murdered over 100 million people in the 20th century communism.
But in
China. Yeah.
But this will never taught in the history in the China people in their country.
Yes, of course not.
Rakshashas.
Yeah.
Rakshashas. We just have a little bit, tiny bit left to read here to finish this off. So Nandapatni was last. So that means your turn, Shuddha Sindhu.
When human society gives up these elementary faults enumerated by Srila Rupa Goswami, Atyahara, all enmity will cease between man and animals, capitalists and communists, and so forth. In addition, all problems of economic or political maladjustment and instability will be solved. This pure consciousness is awakened by the proper spiritual education and practice offered scientifically by the Krishna consciousness movement. Shall I continue?
I'll just finish it. No, you can finish it if you want.
This Krishna consciousness movement offers a spiritual community that can bring about a peaceful condition in the world. Every intelligent man should purify his consciousness and rid himself of the above-mentioned 6 hindrances to devotional service by taking wholehearted shelter of this Krishna consciousness movement.
Thank you. So What are those hindrances? Again, to recap, one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary, collecting more funds than are required, over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them, and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and 6, being greedy for mundane achievements. So I'd just like to hear from all of you. We've got we're on chapter 42 or something out of Krishna book, and there's like roughly 90 chapters to complete it. And I was trying this idea of trying to include a little bit of nectar of instruction. Do you think that's a little bit of rasa bas, because it's a little challenging sometimes to fit it in, especially when we have very enthusiastic devotees that have a great wealth of knowledge, like Mahabodhi and Nrsimha Prabhu and others who speak. What are your thoughts? Should we just keep it Krishna book, or should we try to squeeze in? Because some say, no, when you're doing Leela, you should just focus on the Leela. Of course, Prabhupada's always weaving in some philosophy, but whereas nectar of instruction is pure philosophy. So does anyone have any thoughts on whether we should squeeze in a little nectar of instruction when we can, after we've read the Krishna book? Or should we just keep it all Krishna book, and certain days just do nectar of instruction? What are your thoughts, please?
And anyone else want to go ahead? I will give my thoughts first. If
But he's wandering away, and I'm asking her opinion.
I think I spoke about this last time.
Yes, and what was the conclusion?
Well, I think we sort of said that it was okay to divide them. Or, especially if you have a number of senior devotees who are, fully capable of commenting on what we're reading in Krishna book. I don't know if people want to divide it by the day, or if you just wanted to do like nectar of instruction on one day. I don't know.
That's what Mahabodhi
going on it.
Mahabodhi was saying, yeah, if we're going to do philosophy, we should just do the philosophy. If we're going to do Leela, we should just do Leela.
Yeah, I'm somewhat of that persuasion. Yeah, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense to me because, if you're doing nectar of instruction, really it's kind of more about one's sadhana. Whereas, if you're reading Leela, that's a whole nother sort of more intimate kind, just learning about Krishna directly. So right. They're kind of different fields, if you will.
Yeah, I have a hard time making a decision on this. I know right now I'm really eager to read about Kamsa getting killed in the wrestling arena. Can I wait till Friday to read and do nectar of instruction on Wednesday? I don't know. I feel I have like this, like what we read tonight is just like building me up. Okay, I can hardly wait to like get to the next chapter. What's going to happen? So that was my idea was, well, let's prioritize Krishna book. And if there's some time, we can squeeze in a little bit of nectar of instruction. Others are of other opinion. Anyway, sometimes I read a book once about making decisions, because that's a challenge for me sometimes to make a decision. And this book said sometimes not to make a decision is also a decision.
Yeah.
That's true.
Absolutely, yeah. The main thing is to relax about it, and just continue to take consensus, and then you'll arrive at the right thing.
Right.
I don't think you have to agonize over it, but I think devotees are pretty easygoing.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, as long as we're reading from Prabhupada's books, that's what matters.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, nice full house of.
Yes,
interesting-
it was wonderful.
Yes.
I'm doing ahead of time, I'm contacting like 40, 50 people, hoping I could get one or two more new people to come. So it's not that they just only come, just like, just by chance. So
Mhm.
similarly, I beg all of you, if you can sometimes mention to someone, like if you could ever get Janardhan Maharaj, Nandapatni, that would be very nice.
That's not going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's the only devotee over there. So you may consider
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. Mhm. No. Anyway.
And Shraddha Sindhu, I don't know if you know any others you can invite, or Krishna Chandra Prabhu. But
I
anyway,
mean, I know of others. It's just I'm a little embarrassed because I've been a bit inactive for a few years, and I just like, hey, I'm back. Yeah, come to our Zoom meeting. I have to work up to it.
okay. And if you're ever in touch with, is Dayanidhi your godbrother, or is it?
Absolutely, yes. Dayanidhi Prabhu is my
Yeah,
god.
please ask him if he can come sometime.
Is this the Dayanidhi that's in the San Jose area?
Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because he came onto this group once before, didn't he?
Few times.
Yeah, he was coming.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because Rasangi was actually saying that, sometimes he suffers from depression and he doesn't answer his phone. She was a little concerned about him.
Yeah, I need to really call him